It is my pleasure to have Chua with me today. He is the co-founder and group CEO of Rhombus Connexion. Now, Rhombus is one of Malaysia's fastest growing F&B conglomerates. It owns and operates 37 outlets, 10 different brands in 5 different countries, and Ken has been a Vistage member since 2013. Well, thank you so much, Ken, for being here with me today.
My pleasure.
Now, Ken, I've seen quite a number of your interviews, and you have been described many things. I think one thing that stood out to me was Kent is an accountant turned F&B mogul. How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, I spent 3 years in Deloitte. I think it was amazing in terms of a lot of learning. Until today, I still think that however far I've come is because of the foundation I built and the skills I picked up at that time, because I think finance is such an important component in business. If you do not know how to read finance, you are practically flying a plane blind. So I think I would definitely want to credit to that 3 years.
So you left your job at Deloitte and founded the beer factory with a friend you met during a diving trip, and that was when you were just 24 years old.
Yeah, so I actually met him in Deloitte. So he's actually my junior at that time. So from there, we actually picked up the hobby of diving. So the thing about any hobby, you need like a buddy, right? Just like a gym, you need a buddy. So we picked up, so we started diving all around the region, the world, all the best dive sites. Yeah, it was great times.
Walk us through, why did you take that leap of faith to leave a promising corporate job and start a business?
I think for me, I think that life's very short. I think one of the key factors is actually I wanted the freedom and time to do what I want in life. So I think that the only way I can do that will be if I have my own business. So I actually can attain that kind of financial freedom, and I have liberty and control over my own time. So thus I took that leap of faith. I just felt that life's very short. If not now, then when? I mean, at that time we were young, not married. So the worst thing that can happen is the business fail, right? Then at least I can go back and get a job. I still have a job.
So have you ever failed so far?
I think that for me, I really don't see it as failure. I think that they're all lessons to guide us to where we're supposed to be. It's all part and parcel of the path. I think that it shapes who we are today. I think it's not practical. I mean, like even our heartbeat goes up, down, right? So I think that that's part and parcel of life. It's all about our perspective of it and what we can gain out of it. So in life, you either win or you learn.
So there's no lose in your dictionary?
Absolutely no.
Would you be able to share with us perhaps some of the toughest times you faced as an entrepreneur throughout your career so far?
I think without a doubt, COVID. I think that's totally out of any textbook, right? There's no way for us to reference such a thing. I think the back then the craziest one perhaps was Spanish flu, but we were not around in that era, and the world is very different today. Because having our business divided across 10 brands, across variable different business F&B concepts, and in 5 different countries, right? We're in Malaysia, Singapore, Myanmar, Philippines, and Japan. Never did it cross my mind that at any given time all will shut down. It was actually a deliberate decision for us to have multiple different concepts across multiple different geographical locations, because we wanted to diversify our risks. Because there is, I mean, it's just like in Myanmar, right? When the coup happened, of course that's has a big impact on the business, but that would be one geographical location compared to the rest, so one that can support one another. So during pandemic, there was a period of time all was shut. So and we have salaries to pay, we have rents to fulfill, we have bank repayments. So not having that cash flow is just intense. But for me, the stress didn't really come from that part. The stress was really facing the staffs. Because when I did the town hall just to be open and honest, because our core value in our business is open and honest communication. So riding on that, we jumped on Zoom, gathered everyone so that we provide them clarity on what's going on. It's just facing them, and then when them asking like, what's the situation like, what's the worst case scenario, you can let us know. And I tell them the truth is, I don't know. I said, there is a good chance that we'll close shop, and you update resume, I update resume, and hope that life will give us another opportunity to meet once again, right? So I think that just knowing all you have worked for could go down, and just looking at so many people looking up to you and not knowing what to do, I think that was
The
hard.
toughest moment for you.
It was hard, yeah.
Well, what happened next, of course, now we have recovered, and Rhombus has grown even stronger than before.
Absolutely.
Talk to us, how did the company bounce back?
Yet again, I think it's an absolute blessing. I think COVID really whipped us into shape in terms of discipline in all spectrum of the business, financially, operationally. So we definitely with cash flow, with business not allowed to operate, no cash inflow, just burning through our reserves, we have to be very careful in every cent that we spend and make every dollar work. So we instill a lot of financial discipline in terms of what we should spend on, what we should not. And operationally also we became very lean. And in fact, if you were to ask me, it should have been done long time ago, right? But it's just that when business is doing well, economy is good, I think we settle complacency and we just take things for granted. So during tough times like that, I think it, as they say, smooth seas never make skilled sailors, right? So I really think so. So during that time, it gave us that opportunity to really trim down the fats, right? And really relook into what are the key contributors and the performance drivers, and keep to that. Just focus on the core and strip out all the fats. And so when the economy allowed us to rebound, it boomed in terms of the sales, but we kept our costs steady and we kept our operational efficiency steady. So that's where the gap. So we've never seen the kind of profits that we're seeing today. And this lesson was absolutely delivered by COVID. Yeah.
Would you say that where Rhombus is right now and the brands that it has, would you say is the optimal place you're at in terms of operations, in terms of what you want to achieve? Or?
No, I think we're just getting started. Because for me, I feel that running a business is a massive responsibility to the people that believed in you and jumped on board and be a part of the organization, as well as the investors that believed in you to come on board. So I don't take this kind of responsibility gently, right? I think it's a big deal. And so for me, I keep challenging myself. How can you build an organization that can never die? How can you build one of the world's greatest company? So from there on, that was where, if like Rhombus Connexion, currently we have 10 brands, right, across 37 outlets in 5 countries. But imagine if we have 1,000 brands. Imagine we have 10,000 brands. How is it possible for 10,000 brands to die at the same time? You know, just now, like I said, we were spread out around 5 countries, right? I never imagined the day that all 5 would close, but that's such an anomaly. But to think about having 10,000 brands die at the same time is mathematically not possible, right? So that, for me, should be the way we want to drive the organization forward, using diversity as strength.
Okay.
But who we bring on board and the brands that we bring on board has to be proven. It has to be driven by people with passion and soul. So, because a lot of times when people scale F&B, the issue is you can't scale soul. And that's how businesses suffer when they overexpand and they lose that magic touch. Everyone that expands to 100 stores or whatnot, they started as a mom and pop shop, right? Very well run, a lot of love and all that. But when they overscale, you stretch your best people too far too thin, then that becomes a problem.
So how do you think that 10,000 or 1,000 that you're thinking of what you want to achieve, how do you want to make sure that you do not lose that connection?
So there's a lot of F&B entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one.
It's highly competitive, right?
Yes.
So what makes Rhombus stand out from the rest?
We want to be a platform.
Okay.
Just like in Transformers, Optimus Prime, I remember at the end, he called out to all the Autobots that he said that to all those Autobots who are lost out there, we found a home at Earth, right? So you can come here. So I feel that the journey of an entrepreneur is a very lonely one. That's why Vistage exists, right? And Vistage has supported me a lot across my journey. So I want to replicate that into a platform. A platform where all these hardworking, honest entrepreneurs can actually come on board, right? And be a part of a bigger conglomerate where we have combined bargaining power, so it's better supply chain, depends on, especially we can have synergy in terms of shared services, and yet it's loose integration. They get to run the business as they see fit because they are the entrepreneurs. They gave birth to that brand. They care about it the most. Just like because I built brands, so I know how much I care about it. In fact, I didn't build Rhombus Connection myself. I have partners that they gave birth to those brands, right? So I didn't create all 10. Some of them were actually brought on board. So because of that, and it worked so well, I felt that having this platform and having them as an integral part, consolidated into a business, building a mega conglomerate, very, very possible.
I get a sense that your life purpose is beyond making money. It's about making a positive impact, and just what you're saying with the platform. Can you talk to us about, to people who do not really know you, Chua, right? Apart from the titles, what is it that you want to achieve? What is success to you?
I think at a very young age, the focus is always about ourselves, right? How much money we can make so that we can travel the world, we can buy the things we want, we can provide for our families. So then I'm blessed enough to be able to do that. Then after that, you kind of really discover and think deeply on what is it that you want. So I'm really driven by or shaped by my dad's passing. So my dad passed the same year I launched Beer Factory in 2010. And I recall that moment in the ICU where it was my turn to take care of him. My mom and sister was back home. And this one, I still hate hospitals. Yeah, so he was hooked onto all sorts of machines. He was having heart infection, kidney failure. So he started coughing. I went over to him. So he took off his oxygen mask and he said to me, he said, boy, you know, when I'm no longer around, make sure you take care of mom, your sisters, sell the business. So at that time, the whole world just went quiet. And I just went into a deep reflection on what's all this for? He worked really hard. Growing up, I didn't see much. He's a typical Chinese dad that really gave it his all. And I do think he worked himself to death in terms of never taking care of his health and all that. And yeah, he passed shortly after I sold the business. There was a lot of debts because he built it on debts. I was just thinking, what's all this for, right? I mean, my mom didn't have an easy life, right? So there was a moment that I felt that life cannot be like that. Life had to be, we cannot be alive to pay bills and die. That can't be it. And the truth is, a lot of people go through what my dad go through.
Yeah.
They just slog and work their way through, no balance. Then they, in the name of wanting to provide for family, but end up they just screw up their health, they don't spend much time with their family, then they pass on. So I don't want that to happen. So for me, I even got it tattooed down my spine in Sanskrit by a Tibetan monk. It translates to happiness is the highest level of success. For if you're not happy, you've achieved nothing at all in life. So for me, this platform that I'm talking about, I would like to share to them that it is possible that you can have it all. Meaning, you can have a thriving business and make a lot of money and spend good quality time with the people that matters and do the things that you love, right? But cannot, because a lot of them just focus on their business 100% of their lives. So with this platform, just like how this stage has changed me, provided me the support system so I don't feel alone, and also the kind of topics that we talk about, it covers all the way from our health, from personal to business. So I think that having this platform where collectively we can not be bullied by bigger suppliers, we can combine our powers for cross-learnings and sharing, and taking away their pain points. A lot of them are not finance educated, so they hate the finance component of it. So we can take that away into our shared services. A lot of them have HR headaches, so we can handle that through our group HR functions. And then they can actually dedicate their time doing what they love, which is building their brand, right? And then with that spare time, they can spend it with their loved ones and themselves to make a life worthwhile.
I think a lot of people will be curious, watching this, and you talk about having it all. You talk about your father and how things need to be a bit different. So I do wonder, how are you doing things differently on a personal level, managing so many different brands? Live, have fun and work hard, but to have that simultaneously and to have a fulfilled life. How do you do it?
There is no formula. I think we know it within ourselves. In terms of what we want, what makes us happy, what gives us peace. The only problem is we ignore the voice within us in the name of sacrifice, in the name of what we think society expects of us. And we allow that to dictate our choices. But in actual fact, if we just choose to listen to ourselves, that's why meditation changed the way I think a lot. Just having that time to pause instead of in the hustle bustle of life, and kind of really reflect on what truly is important to me. So a lot of times it's be it through friends or interviews or conversation cards. One of the topics is what we do differently if you die tomorrow, or you have a week or a month more to live, right? What difference will you make? So when I'm in that reflective moment, the answer I had was, I wouldn't change a thing. So to answer your question in terms of how do I balance it all, it's not a conscious decision to balance it all. For me, I think that, in fact, I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe it's one. I believe you can do what you love and make money out of it. So for me, I really wake up every day feeling very excited to tackle and bring my dreams to life. And my dreams are my work, because I get to impact people's lives. I get to see people grow. I get to see my business grow. I get to see myself growing. So that brings me a lot of happiness, right? And being part of my job, being in F&B, is very important for me to know and have the pulse on the industry and to see all the different concepts and ideas around the world. So you see how that's integrated with my work, right? So I travel a lot, and because my wife loves traveling as well, and she's very good. She's very good in researching. She follows a lot of this food influencers, travel influencers. So she makes a list, and she's very good at planning it's like an in-house travel agency, right? So I bring her along. So that's where I actually get to integrate her together with me, right? So I bring her along, and so we see the world, and besides that, I realized that a lot of my job require me to be at peak state. So my mental state needs to be at top level. So how do I do that? So I love what I do, so I keep challenging how can I do it better. So from there, that was where I discovered the stage, right? Because it allows me a platform to express myself, to process my challenges. So, and also besides that, about health, about how important is sleep, how important is you are what you eat. So all these combined together, so it's all integrated. It wasn't something like I planned, but it flows from doing what you love. Yeah.
And being mindful about your choices, I think from what I gather, what you have said so far. I do want to talk about Vistage. You spoke about how it has helped you 10 years as a member. How do you think that relationship with members, with Chair and experience, how has it shaped you as a person, as a leader?
I mentioned earlier, being an entrepreneur is a very lonely one. There are a lot of things that you have to keep to yourself, not because you don't want to share, but maybe you feel, what's the point? What's the point? Because we are so solutions oriented, right? And the thing about being entrepreneurs and running your own business is it's really a bit like riding a tiger, you know. Everyone looks at you, wow, just riding a tiger, you know, it's so amazing, so inspiring. But honestly, when we are on that tiger, it's scary because when will the tiger eat you? And the tiger keep growing, right? And you start losing control of it and whatnot. So I think that, so who do you process this with? If you process it with your loved ones, then you'll be worried that they'll be worried about you. And then if you process with your staff, equally, or you know what you're doing or not, why would I commit my career and my life to you? So there's a lot of these, right? And then, or what if some of them are actually partnership issues, right? How do you process that? So this is where I think Vistage provides that safe space. It's like our own private advisory board of where there's different industries. And I think one of the smartest minds, and process that with everyone. And chances are everyone has similar issues. And that's where everyone, just from the experience sharing, will be amazing. And then of course we also get a coach, one-to-one. I think even the best athletes in the world, what do they have in common? They have a coach. So if we want to be the best in the business world, we must have a coach. So Vistage provides that. So you have a group that you can process issues, you can learn in a safe space, you can pick off their amazing minds, and at the same time you have a coach that you can build this really personal bond, so you can be vulnerable and naked mentally. I think that's a complete breath of fresh air, because it's not that we want to put on a facade, but society kind of imbued us what it is to be a successful person. You kind of got to be strong, you know what you're talking about, you know, carry yourself well. You don't show your vulnerability, especially Asians, right? So yeah, having that safe space one-to-one just has either reassured me on my decisions or has supported me through hard moments across my entire journey.
Well, thank you so much, Kent. I think for most of all being very candid about your experience. You talk about being vulnerable, I think you have been, and I think that the audience will find that very useful and that sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.